How do designers come up with creative or novel ideas? What approaches and best practices do they set themselves up for success? In this lesson, we'll talk about creativity in design and how creativity can be fostered during idea generation. In this lesson, we will explore how designers come up with creative and diverse ideas, identify barriers to successful ideation, incorporate successful ideation throughout the design process. To get started, it's important for you to understand your own natural ideation approaches. Spend 10 minutes generating as many ideas as you can to the following task. Sunlight can be a practical source of alternative energy for everyday jobs such as cooking. Simple reflection and absorption of sunlight can generate adequate heat for this purpose. Your challenge is to develop products that utilize sunlight for heating and cooking food. The products should be portable and made of inexpensive materials. It should be able to be used by individual families and should be practical for adults to set up in a sunny spot. Focus on conceptual designs and do not evaluate your ideas at this stage. Let's reflect on your process. Answer each of these questions as you think back on your work. How did you approach this task? Did you use any ideation strategies? How many ideas do you think are creative? How different are the ideas from each other? What challenges did you face in generating ideas? How do you think your students would generate concepts for this problem? We all aim for creative outcomes in many cases in our lives. But what are the reasons for why we cannot get there? What are the factors that impact our creativity and keep things from us being creative? There are many known barriers that hinder creativity, such as defining the problem too narrowly or attacking the wrong problem. For example, defining the problem too narrowly, attacking the symptoms rather than the real problem, assuming there is only one right answer, getting hooked on the first solution that comes to mind, getting hooked on an existing solution, being distracted by irrelevant information, getting frustrated by a lack of success, or being too anxious to finish. While there are many barriers, one of the most hardest ones to overcome is called fixation. Fixation is simply a mental block where a developing designer can only think about solutions they have already seen. And these solutions constrain the kinds of solutions they can imagine. When a student is fixated on an existing solution or their first idea, they are often unable to develop a wider range of solutions or to systematically iterate on the solutions they can imagine. Fixation results from familiarity with a previous similar solution, getting stuck on the first idea, and evaluating concepts too quickly. One of the core instructional concerns that needs to be overcome is the tendency of developing designers to evaluate their ideas too quickly, rather than exploring possibilities fully. Fixation happens throughout the design process. We need to teach students to ward off fixation during all phases of design. Many students' perception of what idea generation means begins and ends within the idea initiation phase. However, once students move beyond that phase, there are multiple iterative cycles of idea selection and development, and a third phase, the redesign phase, where the students work with more constrained design spaces which require them to imagine new use of context for existing products or optimization techniques for the best possible solution. Students need to learn to avoid fixation during idea initiation, idea development, and redesign stages. Designers have to start from somewhere, and often the creative spark comes from an existing product or analogy. There is nothing wrong with building on existing ideas. But how can we move beyond an initial or obvious idea to a full exploration of the solution space? In the next lesson, you will learn tools to help during this process. The next lesson introduces a tool that designers can use when to explore ideas. This can be during idea initiation, idea development, or idea redesign. Before moving on, be sure to complete the reflection questions.